What's up, people? So I've had a big day today. I don't even know really where to start. Um, to start with, though, real quick, I did some research into this little webcam of mine, and it turns out that there's like proprietary software that you can download from the manufacturer's website that allows you to basically turn off autofocus. Okay, so I don't know if that's gonna help with my little thing down there on the bottom right. Hopefully you can see it better. I don't know. Like I said, man, I'm kind of getting I'm just now kind of getting involved in this sort of stuff. So I hope you'll bear with me. Excuse me. But that said, I thought I'd give a quick update on my colony here and talk about things I did today, and just kind of go from there. And I'm still kind of getting over my bug, whatever it is, sinus infection, flu bug, whatever. I still think that I caught whatever it is that's been making headlines lately. There's one day about a week ago, I think I mentioned this in my last video. There was one day last week, I think it was last Saturday, when I had like 101.5 degree fever, and my God, I was like, what's going on? I was kind of going through a little bit of a vision quest that night, man. And to my surprise, I didn't really have like those fever dreams that people have whenever you go through like a fever, you know? I actually had some pretty decent sleep, but it's just a really, really bad sinus infection or something. Man, and by the way, I just had dinner, so like I said, bear with me. So anyway, I had a hell of a day today, man. So today I had a contractor come out at my house, replace my garage door opener, because the one that I've had since basically closing on my house. I mean, the thing, I don't know how old the damn thing was, but it began to kind of strip out on, because it was one of those kinds of old garage door openers that has like the center drive shaft. I guess this is like an old type or something, because I guess the more modern types, they've now got like basically like a bicycle chain type of feed that opens and closes the garage door. But with the one that I had, it was an older type that had like a center drive shaft. It was like a worm drive, and the one that I had, it began to kind of lose some teeth, and so as a result, the damn thing, it would come up to a certain extent, but then once it got to a certain extent where the teeth were uh, basically lost, it would make this horrible noise, man. It would sound like a damn cat getting murdered or something. So, once I realized what was going on, I realized I had to get it replaced. And last week or the week before, I went through a couple days where I'd call some local contractors, that did the whole garage door opening stuff. And I decided to go with one, had them come out today. They were actually planned on coming out a couple days from now, but I guess some openings opened up with their schedule, and they decided to come out today. And it was just one guy. He replaced everything, and I mean, it's like night and day now, because the garage door that I have now, man, or the opener that I have now, it's like, it's so freaking quiet that it's like night and day. Let me see what's going on here. Something. Oh. Nose is shattered. It's just been a fight. These freaking guys, man. So anyway, excuse me again. The guy came out, replaced the garage door opener this morning. Got here at like, I I don't know, man, like 11 o'clock maybe, somewhere around there. And I think he left somewhere around like 1 or 2. And garage door now opens flawlessly. I mean, it's so freaking awesome compared to what I had. It's like night and day. And it costs about 600 and some odd dollars, man, to do, which I'm not really too thrilled about. But, you know, if you want to make some omelets, you gotta crack some eggs, I guess. And honestly, man, compared to some of the quotes that I had before then, it's pretty damn good cost. And now, I mean, the garage door itself, it's nothing super fancy or anything like that. It's just a basic garage door. I think it's the Genie brand or whatever it is. But I got 3 remotes, 2 or 1 for each vehicle and 1 that I keep in my house. So needless to say, man, it's definitely a relief to have that, because it sucked having to get out of my my car, my truck, and go walk in the garage, lift it up, because it was weird because it had problems lifting up because of the strip teeth, but it would go down okay because gravity was on its side then at that point. So anyway, that's a thing of the past now, finally. And after I got done with that, I decided to go ahead and break into my refrigerator because, man, here lately my refrigerator has been leaking underneath the freezer door. And after doing some research and looking into it myself, I realized that the stupid drain that's inside of my freezer, because in my make and model of freezer, of course, you got the refrigerator door, and then you got the freezer door. And when you open up the freezer door, in the back, there's like this area where, I guess, like the, I don't know really the terminology of all this stuff, because it's obviously not, it's not like I'm a refrigerator guy or some shit, but the radiator area, I guess, has to drain whenever it goes through its freeze-thaw cycle or whatever. And the drain area where the freeze-thaw would happen and the water would leak down and have to be drained, that shit was all frozen over. And I looked up some stuff on YouTube to kind of figure out what the procedure was to essentially try to track down and fix whatever the assumed problem was in this. And I think for the most part, the assumption is that the drain hose was getting clogged, and after unplugging the damn thing and scooting it out of its little area and looking behind the refrigerator, I realized just how dirty everything was, man. And it was way past due to get cleaned because there was like all sorts of dust bunnies and shit back there. So spent all the rest of the evening cleaning that shit up, taking a bunch of the shit out of the freezer so that I could gain access to the freezer area, and then like basically thaw the frozen up drain area out, and hope and pray that it just would kind of work. And at first it wasn't, because I sat there with my little like my heat gun or whatever and tried to thaw that shit out. And I did that for about maybe 35 minutes to 45 minutes, and I made progress, but it still didn't seem to be draining, because I'd pour some water in there in the drain area pan or whatever it is, and it wouldn't drain. It would just kind of sit there. And so I realized, well, okay, what's going on here, blah, blah, blah. And I got to a point to where I was like, well, okay, let's go ahead and try this. And what I did was I put some like really, really hot water in my coffee thermos, and I poured it in the drain area where the stuff is supposed to drain. And I came to realize that there was still some like frozen ice inside of the drain hole itself, because visibility in this damn thing, it's like almost impossible unless you just take out the entire radiator area thing and get better access into stuff. And I'm not at all qualified to be doing that type of shit. I mean, I can probably like take some screws out and like kind of position stuff around a little bit to see certain things, but I'm not really very confident in doing stuff like that, because there's some hard there's some like copper coils and stuff that you would have to worry about breaking or pinching if you were to try to do that without doing it whatever the right way is. And so what I did was I tried to screw around with it a little more with the heat gun and that hot water, and actually after a few minutes it finally began to kind of it acted like it was finally making some progress with the ice that I think was inside of the drain hole. Because with my make and model, you've got the drain hole, but then if you go behind the refrigerator, you take off this cheesy, stupid little like cardboard cover thing that covers all the internals on the backside. You can kind of gain access to this hose that the drain port area is connected to. So I thought to myself, well, okay, let's go ahead and pour some hot water in this son of a bitch and just kind of wait for a while, and to my surprise, it actually worked, I think. Because what happened was is I poured the hot water in there, let it sit there for about 10 minutes or whatever, and it got to a point to where it was beginning to drain down, but I saw on the outside that the water was beginning to kind of pull up outside underneath the fridge. Excuse me. And make a long story short, when I was sitting there fucking around with the inside of the drain area, I had this little piece of thing that I was trying to, it was like a piece of coat hanger, and I was I was trying to unclog the freaking ice, and I think in doing so, I wound up dislodging the drain hose. Excuse me. And so whenever I would pour water into the drain pan area, some of that dislodged hose would let some of that water leak out and onto the floor. So anyway, once I realized what was going on, I reconnected that hose, because it's kind of like from the drain pan, it's like a little nipple area, and the hose connects over the nipple, and with me pushing that thing down, trying to dislodge the ice and shit, I think I just kind of dislodged it. So reconnected that, poured some more water in, it didn't seem to leak, and batted everything back up and everything, and I think for the most part I've got a functional freezer now. But see, here's the thing that I think's causing this. Some of you guys don't know much about me, and one thing about me that you might not know is that I'm really into making sushi. And the thing about making sushi that I've learned is that whenever you buy some of the, I don't know, salmon or tuna steaks from your big box local grocery store, one thing you need to do in order to make sure that it's edible is that you need to keep it frozen at like -10 or more degrees Fahrenheit for no less than like 42 hours or some shit. And in order to make that happen without having like a sub-zero type of freezer, you've got to set your refrigerator freezer to like -10 or whatever it is. And the way you verify that is by having one of those little thermostat type things, that you sit on one of the shelves in the freezer, and you just kind of keep an eye on it. And as long as it maintains a -10 degree Fahrenheit frozen temperature in there for X amount of time, then you can, for the most part, feel pretty confident that whenever you eat the damn sushi, it's not going to make you sick. And you do not want to take a risk with that, man, because I've had that type of situation happen where you eat sushi, not because the sushi itself is bad, but because, you don't take care of things like, I don't know, man, like the parasites or whatever the fuck it is that's in there. And that's what all of this kind of sub-zero type of temperature stuff does. It takes care of a lot of that. Now, there's still a lot of that. There's still like some potential of like bacteria and shit that the frozen temperature can't fix. That's just kind of like a risk that you always take with that type of shit, unless you have some sort of like, I don't know, man, high-tech type of frozen unit or something that you can throw your raw fish in. Well, anyway, what I think has happened in my refrigerator is that I've set my freezer to the lowest possible temperature, and so whenever the radiator or whatever it is that's in there that causes the frozen effect happens to go through its little the thawing cycle, it creates water that gets into that drain pan, but because of how cold I've got my freezer set, it freezes before it can really completely drain. I think. I don't know if that's really what it is, but I think that's probably what's going on here. And as a result, through time, the drain hole freezes up to the point where it's shut, and then at that point, the water that the radiator thaws out from or with, it doesn't have anywhere to go. And so the water winds up basically just kind of at some point it reaches the threshold to where it just begins to kind of come out of the freezer, and I'm not gonna be able to I'm not gonna really be able to do anything about that until I get a better, like, I don't know, external freezer unit out in my garage or something. So my fear is that I'm gonna have to kind of go through this process every, I don't know, every X number of weeks or months or something like that. And now that I know what I need to do to essentially deal with this, it's not really going to be that big of a deal, I guess. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and at some point I'm going to wind up eventually getting a better, like, freezer unit out that I can put in my garage. But dealing with all this shit, man, it took basically all day to screw with. Because once I got done with the garage guy, I dug into that frozen stuff, and once I got done with that, man, I called it a day. And it's always a pain in the ass whenever you dig into the shit like that, because, I mean, with me, I mean, I think for the most part, the majority of people, unless they all have backgrounds in things like appliance repair, or, you know, they've got a bunch of friends or family members who know how to deal with that type of shit, you're going to be like me, and you're going to go out there on YouTube, look up some fucking DIY videos, and you're going to be like, well, okay, I think I can take care of this. On the off chance that you happen to come across a YouTube video that covers your make and model of a refrigerator. And thankfully, the gods smiled upon me, because I was able to kind of find something like that helped me get through this. Looks like we've got a quest here. Alright, let's see what we got here. Melissa, whoever archer, leader of Gagwo, which, by the way, is an enemy of mine, sent us a message. She wants to talk with us in a nearby location. Ooh, this could be interesting. Could be a great opportunity to improve relations with their faction and receive gifts, but beware. A poor negotiator can cause more harm than good, and may even anger them. Other factions will respect you more if you send your leader to handle the negotiations. Leader Gabby, which is my main person, will get a bonus for the chance of a successful outcome. Interesting. Yeah, because see, the Gagwo faction, they're hostile to me. So, I don't know. This could be interesting. Okay. So I guess they're wanting to meet there, I guess. This is the first time I've ever come across a mission like this. But we're definitely going to do it. And when I go here, I'm going to make sure to take some of my most badass people, because I don't know what they're planning. They might be trying to cause problems, man. So let's go ahead and do this here. So Gabby, or Gabs, I think is what she goes by. She's my main, she's basically our leader. I can't remember what her, like, title is, but I think she's like a dame or some shit. I can't remember. And I'm gonna take Anton, which is one of my main features. I'm gonna take this gal named Nabs. She's basically like a sniper. And I'll take this lady named Samantha. She's a cook, but actually, I'll take Rachel, and I'll take Samantha. Or Sam, I guess is what she goes by. She's another really awesome shooter person. And I'll take one more too. I've got a hand-to-hand person that's really a badass here. I can find her. Let me see here. Can't remember what her name is. Rick, I think is what it is. Melee of 11. We'll go ahead and go with her. And I tell you what, man, I should probably take at least one EMP launcher person, because you just never know what's going to wind up in situations like this. See what this person's looking like. 3. Shooting at 11. Let's take him. So let me see here. How many is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 7 people. So let me get down here to my horses. Take all of these. And there's 7. Because of the nature of the mission, I'm not going to take any beasts of burden or anything like that. Otherwise, I usually would. Like, if there's like a mining mission or like some sort of trade thing, I would usually take about 8 ox or something like that. But because this is some sort of diplomacy type thing, I'm going to go ahead and just keep it to the horses. So yeah, let's go with that. Now, items. I don't know. Let's see here, we've got 7 people, right? I don't think I'm going to worry about items. The travel supplies, though, that's different. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the default on that. Actually, let's change that a little bit. Let's get away with... I don't want these simple meals, because they're not... When it comes to traveling, it's my understanding that the simple meals don't last as long as the packaged survival meals. So I'm going to go ahead and load up on these instead. I'll take about 50 of these. Not that I need that many, but I'm just doing that to be safe. 50 of those. We'll take 200 rice, because we've already got 280 hay. And again, this is way more than what I think I need, but I'm just doing it to be safe, because you just never know what's going to happen in situations like this. 15 medicine. And because we've got 7 people that are going with us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll roll with that. Now, see, this is the thing that kills me about this game. 4.4 days worth of food, and it's making it sound as if we'll get hungry really quickly. But the damn path that I set to get to that rendezvous point, it didn't look like it was like some sort of extreme landscape. So I don't understand why it's doing that, but whatever, man, we'll roll with it. So let's bump that up instead to 325, and package survival, we'll go ahead and bump this up to 100. Will that work? Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, I can see right here is where we're going. Excuse me, is where we're going. I don't really understand why it would act as if I need more time to get there, but whatever, man. we'll go with it. So anyway, yeah, so I had the garage door guy this morning, dealt with the refrigerator stuff after he left. And man, after that, I was just kind of toast. I wasn't really planning on making any kind of video after all this crap, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of in a decent mood. Oh, and one thing I've mentioned in some of my other videos is that I'm currently putting some pokers in the fire to maybe get a different job. And there's a lot of reasons for it, man. It's not just one thing or another thing. It's multiple moving parts that have kind of convinced me to start looking for a different employer. And some of it, I don't even know if I'll definitely like quit my job anytime soon because, I mean, things can always change between now and whenever. Because the biggest justification or the biggest incentive for me trying to look for a different employer is the simple fact that where I work right now, it's just got, in my opinion at least, from what I've seen from my vantage point, there's a bunch of leadership issues that are going on, and it's not a simple thing. It's like, there's some people that are slated to retire soon. There's some stuff going on with products that we oversee, and there's some initiatives that are kind of on the horizon that the leadership is wanting people at my level to try to basically find ways to make happen. To say nothing about things like the cost of living and all the stuff that goes into everyday life. I mean, it's not just one thing is my point. So anyway, ever since I've decided to try to at least put some pokers out there to see what all exists in my area, I've been applying to certain things that I feel like that I might make a decent fit for. And one thing that happened today is that apparently a local marketing firm looked at an application I applied to for an opportunity that I guess was available in their shop. And the pay range at the highest amount was only like $1,000 more than what I currently make. And this particular shop was expecting applicants to sign non-compete agreements and things like that. And they didn't really want somebody specializing in the stuff that I have a passion for. And so the lady wound up basically sending me like an Indeed message asking me if I was still interested in the opportunity. And after thinking about everything and combining that with the day that I had, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, man. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pass. And I tried to kind of be cordial about it. I didn't wasn't one of those guys that tried to be a dick about shooting any type of potential interviews down or anything like that. But I was kind with her, and I was like, after thinking everything through and realizing that I've had X amount of time at where I am now, and explaining to her that I'm more into Drupal than WordPress or Wix or any of these other fucking things, I was just like, you know what, I think I'm gonna go ahead and respectfully discontinue consideration of the opportunity. And to her credit, man, the response that I got was really kind and professional. So, but it's just been my point out of bringing all this up is just that it's just been one of those days, man, where it's just a bunch of shit going on all at once. And it's weird because in my life, man, whenever one thing happens, it's like a billion things happen. You've got the garage door thing, you've got the refrigerator thing, you've got this job thing. And I'm not complaining really, because it's actually been a really good day. I mean, I hate having to spend all that kind of money and stuff like that, but because I'm not like one of those massive whales that you hear about on Reddit or whatever, or Dave Ramsey, who's making like $200,000 a year or some shit. I mean, I live in one of the most affordable areas of the world. And I mean, I closed on my house that I live in right now for like $62,000. And, it's it's kind of funny in a way because my basement has sill plates of railroad boards. So that ought to give you an idea of how old it is. But I think the sale document or whatever, the sale listing listed this place at like a 1950s era home. And I'd say, I sometimes joke around and say that my house was built in the Precambrian area. But realistically, though, I'd say it was probably really built back in like the 1930s or something, which isn't really that big of a difference, I guess, if you compare 1930s to 1950s. But it's still fucking old. So, But you know, it's just like with all this shit going on, man, all you can really do is just do your best to try to get through the fucking day, and at the end of the day, man, get drunk. And hopefully you'll get over whatever cold is going around the entire country that you've happened to snag. Anyway, man, just wanted to get that off my chest. Been a hell of a day. So anyway, as far as that the colony here is concerned, what to update you on? So right now we're kind of, let me see here. We've got a little bit of an ongoing mission right now where this poor little alpaca that's got the whole whatever it's called, amnesia or whatever it is, the paralysis thing. We're watching over it for a certain amount of time for some honor or some shit from one of the local factions. One thing that I've recently done is convert this wing, and I'm currently converting this wing into the rice hydroponics basin wings that I've got right here. And I'm in the process of trying to entice one of my adversarial factions to try to attack me because I'm wanting to build some of those damn fabricors. Because in order to get those, you've got to put someone through a rip scanner, which I've got right here. But I don't have any prisoners, and I'm sure shit not going to put any of my actual colonists in that damn thing. And I wish there was a different way to get what this damn thing makes, because basically, long story short, you've got to put somebody in a rip scanner in order for the thing to get made that you need in order to build those damn fabricors, because it's like a higher level type of mech or whatever, and higher level mechs need the thing that these rip scanners create. But in order to get the thing that the rip scanners create, you've got to put somebody, you basically got to sacrifice somebody into this fucking thing. I don't know why, but okay, fine, you know, we'll do it. But in order for me to do that, though, I'm not going to use any of my colonists, and what I'm trying to do is basically piss these people off to have them, or it's the Kush or whatever faction here. Because usually what I do is I jettison some of my toxic waste packs over here in this area. And whenever I do that, the Kush faction, they get pissed off. And after a certain amount of doing that, they wind up eventually trying to raid my place. And so I'm trying to entice them to do that so that I can eventually take a few of them as prisoner and then throw them into that rip scanner. And they get the fucking computer chip or whatever it is that I need to make this fabric horse. But it hasn't happened yet, and I've had like I've jettisoned 3 times now some of my toxic waste packs out to that place, and they haven't attacked me yet. So I'm kind of waiting on them to do that. But in the meantime, I'm trying to basically convert all of these wings to basically be rice generation wings, and uh, I mean it's going according to plan. It's taking a little bit of time because my people here, they don't like to really do the stone cutting stuff, because out of the research that I've done out of the stone cutting table is that you've got to have somebody, I think, at least at like level 3 of crafting. And a lot of my people, I mean, a lot of them are actually at that level for the most part, but I don't have them assigned to the zone that they need to be in order to do that kind of shit. And in order to figure out how to kind of balance the operations here, I've got to figure out ways to kind of assign certain people to the zone that's respective to the stonecutters table. And then at that point, I can start generating those damn blocks. Because basically, what I'm doing here is I need to create slate blocks in order to lay down here, and that's what you see here as being worked on right now. So anyway, I mean, it just takes a little bit of time to get that done, but I'm doing that. Um, you know, deconstructing walls and all this other shit here. And it kind of sucks in a way because what I'm having to do is I'm having to deconstruct a long-range mineral scanner, some of this metal tile that I was using, or sanitary tile that I was using for one of my medical areas, you know, prisoner beds, shelving that was used for medical supplies. So I'm having to find ways to kind of put all that stuff in different locations and whatnot. But the good news though is that once I do that, I think food production is gonna increase because these rice hydroponics basins seem to generate quicker than the hay does. And from what I've experienced so far, rice does almost just as well as hay does whenever you're feeding your livestock. And by the way, I have a shit ton of chem fuel. My God. I mean, I can't. I'm sure there's people out there that have had more, like, you know, chem fuel generation stuff. But right now, man, I am at the highest amount I've ever had in this game for chem fuel. And I began to get control of it once I separated the men from the women. Boomlopes, I mean. I think down here is where the males are. Up here is where the females are. And that was the only time in which I was able to finally get control of that shit. Because otherwise, whenever I put them all in one pen, they just breeded out of control. I mean, it became completely unmanageable. But that being said, though, one other thing too that I'm slowly doing through time is summoning those apocrychons or whatever they're called, so that I can keep generating these waste pack atomizer things. Because those things basically those things you use to better deal with the toxic waste packs, because otherwise you're forced to do like what I'm doing half the time, where I jettison them out into some foreign area and cause a bunch of problems with different factions and shit like that. But with these waste pack atomizer things, you can basically deal with them in a much more healthy way. But doing that though, you've got to summon those mechs or whatever they are, take them out, and then grab the chips that you need in order to build these things with. And the chip, it's the nano structuring chip that you have to have. Everything else I've got squared away, but it's just those damn chips that you've got to have in order to build those things. I don't know why you have to do that, man. Wait. I mean, my God, think about it from the standpoint of realism. You're this colony that's done all this shit, you know. You built these things, these mech gestators, and these, I don't know, these hospital beds and pod launchers and all this fucking shit. But you mean to tell me that you can't build some little fucking chip that you need in order to make a waste pack atomizer? I don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess. But I don't know how many people now. Let me see here. I've got 144 colonists, and I think at minimum there's about 3 or 4 that are currently pregnant. So I mean, it seems like there's no end in sight to the number of people that I'm supporting with my current architecture here. At some point in the future, we're going to wind up having to figure out a way to support more people, because as you can see right here, we've basically got like bedrooms and stuff designed the way that they are. But we're going to have to do something to where we double people up or something like that, because I've begun to kind of do stuff like that down here. I view this as basically like an apprentice type of wing, where I've got like younger kids and stuff down here. It's kind of like a dormitory type of thing. And up here is where Gabs is. That's her, basically like her throne bedroom, if you will. And then up here, I've got some more beds and stuff like that to support expansion. But it's the dormitory type of architecture that I think we're going to wind up being forced to use at some point. Because my colonies, it's just getting too big, man. And I don't want to. I don't really want to go down that path where you like you fix people. You know, I don't know what the medical term is for it, but like IUDs and things like that, I just don't want to mess with it, man. And plus, you know, more people means a bigger workforce. The one thing though that I'm curious about in this game, and if you guys know anything about this, feel free to comment in the comments. Do people in this game eventually die of old age? Because Gabs, who's basically our main like leader, let me see here, stupid indicator thing is blocking me. Bear with me here. Let's see. So Gabs, she is. Let me see here. What is she? She's a countess. Okay, she's one of our founders. And as you can see, I don't know what the difference is between age of 80 and then whatever it is that's in parentheses, but I always just kind of go with 80, or the first number, I mean. So she's 80 years old, I guess. Needless to say, she's getting up there in age, and there's been times when I've tried to put her into one of those biosculptor pods to reverse aging. Let me see here. Yeah, age reversal. I was doing that there for a while, but it got to a point to where it was cumbersome and difficult to kind of manage. So it's kind of left me thinking, well, at what point will somebody die of old age? So I don't know really where that point is in this game. If you do, I would love to know what it is, and let me know in the comments. But so far, though, she's hanging in there, and Cream and Newton are too. And those are basically the three colony founders right there. Gabs, Cream, and Newton. And again, they're both getting up there in age. I guess there's not really much else to discuss, though, because everything else that I'm doing, man, I'm just kind of dealing with stuff. My everyday operations consists of hunting and staying ahead of my livestock, because I have auto slaughtering rules in effect here, and as a result, my colonists will go through here, slaughter a certain number of goose or chickens or whatever, but sometimes they'll forget to take them into the fridge or the freezer. And if you forget to do that, then that means that the animals their corpses will begin to rot, and that'll cause lung rot. And then you're just dealing with more problems. So the average everyday operations consists of hunting and managing my livestock. And as you can see here, I think I've got at least one or two that probably need to be picked up. But, you know, despite those everyday headaches, this colony is actually kicking some ass, man. Despite all the moving parts and all the stuff that's fucking going on in this, I think I've reached a point in this colony where I'm able to kind of almost manage it without hardly doing anything. And I think a lot of that will even get better once I get those fabricors built. Because once I get those fabricors built, I'll be able to have them full-time on these fabrication benches, which will free up the 4 people or 5 or whatever it is that's currently doing stuff like making components all the time for other things. Just takes time, though, you know. So anyway, that's been my day in a nutshell. I hope all of you guys are doing okay. My voice is getting a little hoarse here because I'm still kind of going through that sinus infection thing. But the next video, I'll try to update you on what happens with this diplomacy rendezvous thing that's going on right here.
thing where I've got to apparently meet with one of my opposition factions out here in the middle of nowhere. And that'll be interesting because I've never done that type of mission so far. So this will be a first time type of experience for me. And I'll try to make sure to have that on video for all of you guys to watch. But besides that though, man, I'm gonna go ahead and save it here. And I'll leave it at that. And I hope you guys have a good night. And let me know if you have any ideas about things I can do better or things I'm screwing up on. So anyway, have a good night, and I will see you whenever I see you. Later.